The next topic is self-assessment. What is self-assessment? I'll share a very short story for you to understand what self-assessment is. All the gods had, this is an imaginary story, okay? So all the gods had come for a meeting, okay? And the supreme power, the God, had decided to refrain certain powers from man's knowledge. He did not want man to know few powers, the utmost power, the utmost strength. He didn't want the man to know. So he called in for a meeting, and all the gods had come there to discuss about a solution, to come on a conclusion for this. And God said, I want you all to suggest a good place where I can hide all these power from man. I don't want him to know all these things. The gods were discussing for quite some time. And suddenly one god stood up and he said, how about keeping it in the highest peak of the mountain? Another god said, no, man can capture anything. He can achieve. Reaching the highest peak is not a big deal for him. So that isn't a good idea. Then another god said, then how about keeping it in the deep sea waters? Again the god stood up and he said, if a man can reach the peak of the highest mountain, he can even reach the depth of the sea. So that isn't safe either. Such was the discussion going on. And the third god stood up and he said, how about burying it deep in the grounds? Again, people did not want to conclude, they did not want to stick with this idea also. Then the wisest of them stood up and said, I will suggest you something. The best place to bury this power is deep within the man, because that is where the man will never search for it, and it will remain there as safe as it has supposed to be. And all the gods agreed to it. Now the moral of this story is for you all to understand the strength of yourselves. Your strength and your abilities come under self-assessment. The problem with us is we don't understand what we are capable of. We forget our abilities. We forget our strength. We all have the strength and ability. The capability is there deep within. The problem is we don't look for it there. That is why the wisest God said, put it deep within himself, because that is where he will never look for anything. So if we sit for some time and we start searching from deep within, we will definitely be able to know what we are capable of. We will know what our power is. We will know what we will realize our strength, and we will understand ourselves. Understanding oneself is very important, and that is self-assessment. Assess yourself. See what you're capable of. Understand yourself. You ought to identify your potential. It's very important to identify your potential. We may not know what we are capable of unless and until we identify our potential. Now, this is a common mistake and error that we all do. We forget what we are capable of. Sometimes we even forget to analyze, to look for what we are capable of. So you need to identify your potential to know, to assess yourself. That is called self-assessment, which is very important. Help yourself. Do not think that help should always come from outside. Don't wait for an XYZ to come and help you. Believe that your help is always there at the end of your arm. Self-help is the best help. Assess, that's called self-assessing. If you know that you can help yourself, you will not be dependent on anybody. Understand, you ought to realize that you can help yourself. You ought to realize that you are capable of helping yourself. Talent and power need to be watered. In the sense, when you start pondering, when you start looking on for assessing yourself, looking out for your strength, your capabilities, your abilities, you will definitely find a lot of talent and power hidden. A lot of talent and power is found within ourselves, in each and every individual. The only problem is you have to dig in. You have to dig into it and search for your talents, pull them out and nourish them. Once you find your talent or once you find your power, water them regularly, nurture them. It's not just you identifying your power, you have to nurture them, because so that you are able to bring out the best of your talent or your power. Recognize yourself. Now, this is the message of all religions, of all culture, of all philosophers also. You have to recognize yourself, know who you are, know what you're capable of, understand your potential. All these things are very important. Recognizing one's self is very important. You need to know yourself to work on whatever is your ambition or your goal. No, to become a good personality, you need to know your strengths and your weaknesses. So, recognizing yourself is very important. If you remember, you would have heard this common phrase by Socrates, know thyself. He says you have to, that's why I said recognize yourself is a message of all religion, culture, and of all philosophers also, of all philosophies. Because you ought to know yourself. Without knowing yourself, what will you know? See, for example, if you need to know the world, if you need to recognize the world, you need to recognize yourself. If you are not able to recognize your own self, how do you think you will be able to recognize the world? If you're not able to read yourself, if you're not able to find out what you're capable of, how do you think you would be able to face the society? How would you be able to recognize the world? It becomes highly impossible. Just like how this story, this fable of Ali Baba, where he finds finally when he is able to, he was able to find the magic words. He was able to open the cave. The secret cave would open only if he was able to find the magic words. He searched for it, but the moment he got the magic words, he achieved his goal. So what you should do is you need to recognize yourself and you need to start searching from within. Start looking for it and water it regularly to become proficient in that. Man is a diamond. Man is a diamond in the creation crown of God. See, God has created a lot of beings, right? So man is the topmost, the superior. He is considered to be the diamond in the creation, in the crown of creation. The problem is that we don't understand, we don't realize what our capability is, what our efficiency is. If animals can do so many things, these days we find a lot of animals and birds being trained on so many things. If they are capable of so many things, imagine we stand on we are the diamonds in the crown of creation. We would be able to do a lot of things much better when compared to the other beings. The problem is your potential. Identify your potential. When your potential is known, achievement becomes very easy. When your potential is unknown, that is where you get dejected. You stop moving further. You stop working towards your goal furthermore. Because you're upset, you're tired, you're completely drained of your energy and your moral support. Your morale is gone down because you haven't identified your potential. But if you know your potential, you know what you are capable of, and if you know you can do it, you will definitely hit the success. Strive hard. This is the last point and the most discussed point ever, because I've been talking to you all about this since the inception of this session. Work hard. Nothing comes easy. Nothing comes easy. You have to strive hard to achieve your goals. Your potential will come out only when you work hard. Your potential doesn't come out on its own. You have to work hard to achieve your potential. Let me take you through the self assessment again. You ought to identify your potential, search for your potential, help yourself. Self help is the best help, and you should believe that you are capable of helping yourself. You should also understand that there is a solution for every problem, and you will be able to break through the difficulties. Your talent and your power doesn't come from external sources. It is there internally already. All you're supposed to do is just to water them in the right place. Water them every now and then. Recognize yourself is a message of all religion, culture, and philosophy. You need to know yourself. Without knowing yourself, you will not be able to know your surrounding or your society. Man is the diamond and the crown of creation. We can do wonders. Understand, appreciate yourself, tap yourself and say you can do wonders. Your potential has to be known to you. If it's unknown, your goal will not be achieved. But a known potential will make you an achiever. Strive hard. As I always say, nothing comes very easy. You have to work hard to achieve your success.
Pebbles Live.